Joe and Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello, and once more, let us go into the breach. So, Joe, I mean, obviously, you've been covering a lot of Canada. All right, let's just give our audience a little bit of a backdrop here. I'm actually very surprised here because this girl in this video, the one that you see in the screen right there with the long sweater on, her name is Taylor McNally. She's a BLM activist. She's been actually charged with assault and a hate crime, shockingly, in Canada. Okay, for actions that in regards to this Calgary walkout, where this young man Josh Alexander, who was arrested for staging a walkout in protest of the Rainbow Mafia. All right. So, Joe, am I wrong?
No, absolutely. Basically, drag queen story hours. He's been arrested, I think, a couple of times. He also got in trouble at his school for protesting, transgender bathrooms.
He's a Catholic school. It's a Catholic school, which I'm so surprised. Go ahead, Joe.
No, but I think he's involved with an organization called Save Canada. That's the hat.
Yeah, Save Canada. So this is what happened to Josh Alexander. But in the meantime, what we're going to report is that this girl right here, Taylor McNally, she's been charged also, and with a hate crime, which, like I said, is shocking in Canada. We're going to play this for about 30 seconds.
Sorry there. There's 3 Bibles back there for you guys. And they're arresting him. You police, you should be arresting Antifa. They're the ones that attacked him.
And that's the truth, Joe Rossinello. BLM and Antifa were there. This girl, Taylor McNally, was there. And who gets arrested? The kid who staged the walkout in protest of the Rainbow Mafia and everything going on in the school. And there's something fundamentally wrong with that. Now, on one hand, I'm happy that this girl got arrested. I'm happy that she's been charged, okay, with not only with assault, but also with a hate crime. I'm happy about that. But why is this kid getting arrested? All he did was stage a walkout in protest. Canada is supposed to be a country that values free speech. I don't think so, Joe.
Certain things you can't protest. I mean, let's be honest. That's not a democracy. Sorry. His protest is just as valid as hers. And here's another point. He's a minor.
He's 16 years old.
That woman is an adult.
Right.
Adults can't strike minors. Can't do it.
Right.
Wrong. So ultimately, this is off on so many levels. To your point, Joe, it's good to see that she's charged. Let's see where that goes and what the government actually does with regard to the case.
Well, here's the problem. And this is why you and I in America are commenting on this, because there are parallels. All right. So this kid gets arrested for what should be protected under their version of the First Amendment. They have free speech in Canada, but we're going through it now here. And this is a wake-up call for Americans if you think that this can't happen here, because it's already happening. Dan Goldman, who was one of the attorneys against Trump, who's now a congressman from New York. People need to listen to people's language, Joe. When they were blasting Schellenberger and Taibbi, all right, the Democrats in the House, because of the whole FBI files, the Twitter files, you remember that, right? And there was there was a hearing on that. And Dan Goldman was talking about protecting free speech, but legal speech. Now, do you hear how that works, Joe? What is legal speech, Mr. Goldman? Because my attitude is this: is what Joe and Joe do, is this illegal speech? Because we speak out against things. Are you a First Amendment protector, or are you a First Amendment abuser? To me, what's going on in Canada, and with guys like him, what we have to watch out for, they're going to start to say what's legally protected speech. And of course, they're in favor of the First Amendment for legally protected speech. But who determines what's legally protected? You know what I mean, Joe?
The government. I mean, ultimately, anything they disagree with is illegal. That's basically how it's rolling.
Does it seem to be the direction it's going in?
And to your point, his speech is just as valid as hers. She
That's
has
right.
a right to speak her mind. We could just agree to disagree. Josh Alexander didn't hurt anybody. Josh Alexander didn't get charged with assault. All Josh Alexander did was speak his mind. He got arrested. He's arrested. Notice he's in the handcuffs.
That's right.
That to me is not a democracy. It isn't a democracy at all. People should stop deluding themselves.
Right, and it is delusional to think that we do live in a democracy, because a democracy requires a firm protection by the government of your right to protest, free assembly, freedom of religion, and freedom of speech. And in America and in Canada right now, if you don't think those things are under assault, then you got your head in the sand and you're not looking at what's going on.
And
Joe,
that's where
final
people
comment.
aren't paying attention, because the political like scales change. You know, the next people who the government's coming after is you. I mean, people just don't think, Joe, for as smart as some people are, all they're interested in is their own interests and power in the here and now.
Right.
Listen, in 10 years, they could be coming after you. And that's why this has to be addressed.
Right.
You don't have to like what Josh Alexander says, but you have to give him his rights to say it.
Well,
Got
BLM
to.
has their rights, don't they? I mean, if they want to go out in the street, not to burn things down, even though in America, of course, in the summer of 2020, they were allowed to burn things down, but they could go out in the street and protest legit. They have a right to free speech. I'm not taking that away from them, but that's the era we live in. Theirs is protected speech and protected activity. When we open our mouths, whether you're Catholic, whether you're conservative, whether you're Christian, whether you're conservative, hey, listen, the Muslims are now under attack. Okay. In Canada. Because why? Because they got together with Christians blasting the rainbow agenda of the public schools. And the Christians and the Muslims went there arm in arm. The parents went to say, those are not your kids, and you're accountable to us. So, and again, they'll be called haters. Of course, they'll be called haters. So let's be careful, and let's just keep reporting on this, because right now, like I said, in Canada, it's a little bit more blatant, but it's happening here too. We just have to open our eyes, because it is out there. And we're going to keep letting people know about it. Thanks for joining us here at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello. Stay tuned for more great content.